What's up, Jiu-Jitsuers? This is Amechi again, and today's Dr. Jits is one of the nicest guys in the game. Leonidas Tarca, a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, author, and professional educator. In this video, we're looking at a choke from the armbar position called the Jews. Check it out.
All right, guys, well, this is a position that all of us have been in at one point, the armbar, right? And when we get to this point, we have some variations. Some guys like to, grab onto their lapel and then rip off his hand if he can, and then come back, squeezing their knees together. Some guys like to kick here. I know that some of the guys that are no-gi like to kick off sometimes and do that. But sometimes, if you're rolling with somebody like Professor Alberto, you're not gonna get that armbar. He is not gonna let it go, right? So here's a variation or alternative that I do. I squeeze my legs just like everybody else. Sometimes I like to grab the pants. Sometimes I even like to grab underneath here and make sure that I'm in control, no matter what he does. Once he blows his load and he doesn't have anything else to go, I'm gonna switch my hand. This hand, the right hand's gonna come under the crook of his elbow, and I'm gonna grab my own lapel. Right here, I feel like I'm very strong. I'm not moving either way. I'm in control. This hand right here, this is where the specialty comes. This thumb right here is gonna go into lapels. You can see my leg behind my knee is smashing his face. So I'm not letting him look at me or see what's happening. So this hand is actually almost invisible, right? So I come in, I put my thumb inside his far lapel, and I grab it nice and tight, right? At this point, he really doesn't know what's happening. I'm gonna let go of the pressure from my left knee, and I'm gonna put it behind his head, and I'm gonna come down with the choke. I call this the juice, like squeezing orange juice, squeezing the person's neck. There you go. So let's try that one more time, right? It's actually a really good choke because people don't know what's happening, and that's kind of jiu-jitsu. It's adapting into something where they don't understand what's taking place, right? So once again, I've got here and I got Professor Alberto into an armbar. I'm tight, he will not break. I maybe try to kick, he doesn't work. He's got really strong hands. He has feet that look like hands too. So I'm gonna come across and I'm gonna grab his pant leg right here, right? And I'm gonna make sure that no matter where he squirms, I'm in control. He can't roll out, he can't come in. At that point, when I feel like I'm secure, I'm gonna get my right hand and come under his crook of his elbow and grab my own lapel. And I feel tight here, okay? Right now, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put my invisible choke, the juice. I'm gonna stick my thumb in, not 4 fingers, it's your thumb. Stick my thumb deep inside his lapel as my knee is crushing his face. When I feel comfortable, I'm gonna let the pressure off, and I'm gonna put my knee behind his head, and I'm gonna come in for the choke. Now, 2 things happen. If he doesn't choke, what do you think happens? He gives me the arm, and I come back for the armbar.
Let's break that down. First, make sure you have control. Legs tight and grip secure. You can lock things down even further by grabbing your opponent's near side leg. Once you're secure, switch your grip and hook under the crook of his elbow and grab your own collar. While pressuring down on your opponent's face with your high side leg to block his view and maintain control, take your free arm and reach into your opponent's far side collar, thumb down, and get a deep grip. Release the pressure on your opponent's face with your high side leg and move it behind his head. Then use downward leverage and pressure into your opponent's neck and over your thigh to finish the choke. If you have problems finishing the choke, you can always bring your leg back around and finish with that armbar. Well, Mr. Tarca doesn't just battle folks on the mat, he's also a big proponent against bullying, particularly with children. Check out how Leonidas is using jiu-jitsu for this noble cause.
I think that what we need to do as parents and even educators or people that have nephews or nieces, it's important to give them a tool where they feel comfortable and confident about dealing with issues. There's a variety of things that are going to come up in their life, especially in school. In school, unfortunately, you have kids that bring baggage from their home life or past experiences, and they transcend it onto our kids, right? So we have to give them a tool on how to deal with those issues. They can read books, they can do, you can be the best parent, the best dad ever, but if you give them to me, this is my 18th year in education and 10 years in doing martial arts, like jiu-jitsu. If you give them the tool of, and I'm gonna say Brazilian jiu-jitsu, they can deal with those problems in a very systematic way, and I think it's a confidence in their head. You don't have to beat somebody up, you don't have to fight, but knowing that you can control the situation gives our kids, just that added tool that they're going to use. And the interesting thing is, in an educational point of view, is that kids that are succeeding in a sport like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, they do better in testing. I'll tell you, that's data. It is true. The kids that are confident in dealing with those issues that arise on the playground or even in the classroom, or even when a teacher tells them something and they're able to reflect on it right away, they do better in their school, in their education. And what brought me to Jiu-Jitsu was the sense of, I want to protect my family. I want to make sure that if anything happens on the street, not that I'm going to beat somebody up, no, it's that I'm going to be able to help my children and my wife in a situation of that nature. So that leads into me working with kids and families about bullying. Kids that are being picked on or hurt on, verbally, psychologically, physically, they start to live a different type of life. They could be really shut down. They could not want to come to school anymore. They don't want to take tests. They don't want to work. They don't want to have friends. Or on the reverse, they become bullies themselves, right? So I really wanted to pinpoint that fact before I started my Jiu-Jitsu book. I wanted to focus on how do I help parents and educators alike and kids deal with the issue of being bullied. So I created this program called Stop It. Stop It, it means stop teasing, offending, pushing, intimidating today. And it's a leadership program, so it does two things. It educates the kids on how to stand up to bullying, and at the same time it educates the kids that are bullying how to stop it. So it actually works together. We always talk about, well, that kid's a bully, you need to suspend him, or you need to send him to the curb or send him to another school. It's not like that. We have to re-educate that kid and give them the tools and the components so they can work with the teacher and the parents and help him become a better person or help her become a better person. So my whole program and the books that I've written are about leadership. And it started off with my son being born. I think that was the main thing, is when Luca was born, I wanted to make sure that he never got picked on, and he was never one who picks on somebody else. Instead, I want my children, my both boys, Luca and Mateo, to be able to diffuse situations on the field and on the mat, right? And on the field, and be able to help other kids feel comfortable. And then that makes him a person that people want to hang out with, which later in life, as we become adults, if we see an issue happening, how do we stop it? How do we help somebody else, right? So that's the component of the books. My first book, they're all on Amazon, so you can check them out. But it deals with, it's actually a timeline of Luca's life. So the sandbox bully is the first one, and it talks about him being a kindergarten kid and being picked on by another kid in the sandbox, and how he deals with that. The second one is how Max became the bully, and it kind of goes a little bit backwards, and it talks about what elements made Max, who is the bully in the sandbox bully, a bully. And it talks about his interaction with his older brother and his parents, and working with his teacher. And then the last one is Luca Stands Up, is when he becomes a middle school student and he creates the club, the Stop It Club, which now encompasses all the other kids that felt that they're not popular, that they're not cool, that nobody wants to hang out with them, they don't have a voice. Through this club and through Luca, they now become people that are leaders on the campus, which then changes our society. So that was a huge change for me, is having children. And then, of course, my love, which is Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So we were in Hawaii one day, and I came up with an idea. I wanted to teach Luca some moves. And so I said, what better way than to do the ABCs of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu? So I came up with this concept. I wrote it on the plane. That was the cool part. On a napkin, on a bunch of napkins, wrote it out. A is for armbar, B, is for, back take or whatever it may be. And I created this book, and I got this, my publisher said that he was very interested in it. And we hooked up with the Moya company, and some of these up and coming young athletes, like Alyssa Wilson, she's an upcoming jiu-jitsu girl, and we created this book, the ABCs of Jiu-Jitsu. And now we're a parent who trains here at Gracie Baja can give the book to their son and go over basics, the foundations of Jiu-Jitsu, which then goes again to stopping bullying in the classroom or on the playground.
Well, hats off to you, Tarca, for all you're doing to fight bullying. And hats off to you too, Jiu-Jitsuer, for checking out this video. If you're looking to scratch more of your grappling itch, here are a couple more videos you might like. Of course, check out the BJJ Training Journal by visiting bjjbrain.com to get access to cutting-edge training tools for grapplers. In the meantime, live life, have fun, and train jiu-jitsu. Oh, and while you're here, subscribe.